sure to check out the Rise Summit Series 2020 found exclusively right here at the B-Raw Podcast YouTube channel. Knowledge drops and fire conversations by our panelists. Definitely a must-see event.
Welcome,
Yes.
welcome,
Hey,
welcome
y'all.
to another episode of B Raw Podcast,
Yes,
where we are
yes.
featuring black real ass women sharing raw conversations on real topics affecting our communities.
Always.
How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Well, I'm Shalonda, one of the hosts.
Yes, and I'm Shamika, co-host as well. And today we have our amazing sister, Miss
Sister.
Shaniqua Staples, here
Hey,
with
girl,
us.
hey.
Hello, hello. Thank
She's
you,
a
thank you for
licensed social
having
worker
me.
and founder of RebirthHer. It's an organization that provides postpartum resources and counseling for women of color.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
No
Yes.
problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here. I'm so proud of you all. I'm so excited to be a part of you all's missions and dreams. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about RebirthHer?
Yeah, so Rebirth Her is an organization I started about 2 years ago. And what we do is we provide support groups and counseling for African American moms, especially on postpartum. So I started Rebirth Her because of my own experience as a mom being here in San Antonio. I had like the worst experience ever. When I was pregnant with my son, things were fine. I still felt I could have got more attention and more care. But after I had him and I went for my 6-week checkup, the doctor gave me that form, you got to fill out about how you're feeling and everything. And I was in tears and I answered yes to all the questions that I was not doing okay. And she looked at the form and said, well, I'll see you in 6 more weeks for your next checkup.
Wow.
And I went in my car and I just cried. And like, it's just crazy knowing I got that treatment and knowing that I knew what I could do, but thinking like if other black women getting this treatment, like are other black women like being vulnerable and saying, something's not right. I'm not feeling okay. And just being sent home, I was like, no, that's not okay. So that kind of sparked me to say, okay, I know what I need to do. So let me get myself together and make sure that I can help as many women as possible not have this experience. So that started Rebirth Her. We started out doing support groups in churches, and then we kind of moved from churches to WIC offices, and then starting that individual counseling. Because a lot of times with African Americans, we're not the biggest fans of counseling, not by nature. It's because either bad experience or we just grew up in a really religious family where it's like you don't talk about your business, you man up, and you figure it out. But that's not the reality. Like, we should not have to always figure stuff out when other cultures do receive and go for services and help. So I just wanted to bring a safe space that was comfortable and that allowed black women to kind of be themselves and be vulnerable with what they were going through after they had their baby.
That's beautiful.
That really is.
Yes.
It's definitely
commend you.
a huge need. I want to do a follow-up question very, very quickly.
Yes.
Do you feel that the lack of maternal care or just TLC that you received, do you think that had anything to do with where you're located, or is that just a general problem overall that we have?
Yeah, no, I think it's a combination of both. I definitely think where I was located. So not being from San Antonio, I don't know like which hospitals. So of course you want to get the best care for your child and yourself. So I ended up going to, Alamo Heights. It's one of those more upper areas for my care for my baby. And I already saw off rip like what I was getting in regards to services was a lot different than the Caucasian mothers that I was seeing going there. So those red flags were already there in regards to how long my appointments were, in regards to like my waiting. It's like it was already off. So I think that played a part. And then I also feel that the fact that overall doctors do not take black women or especially black women into consideration. It's like we can't have feelings, we can't need assistance because we're seen as something else. And that definitely goes when it comes to mental health care and anxiety. Do you know how hard it is for a black woman to say she has anxiety? And if she does need medication, it's impossible to get it, only because they always think black people substance abuse seeking or something of that nature. So I think it is a combination for me, A, where I was located, and B, because I was an African American woman.
Got you. No,
I
think
definitely agree with that. When I was having my daughter, it was like the worst. They did not care about anything that was going on with me and stuck my baby a million times with needles. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. Well, and I definitely resonated with that, you know, when you fill out the survey after you come back. And I remember, like, I may have marked, like, yeah, I've been feeling down, I've been feeling out. And my doctor didn't even acknowledge it. At least yours said something like, well, you said she didn't.
No, she
just
said,
we'll
see you next 6 weeks.
And I was like, I promise I didn't mark that because I want attention. You asked me, and I'm like, well, can you at least direct me in the place to go? Like, because I recognize, you know, you watch YouTube videos and other, you know, or talk to other friends that have been moms, and they'll tell you, hey, you're going to go through hormonal changes, and so your mood will shift, etc. But when you're not used to that, and you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like, I'm not quite sure what's happening. So I think, obviously, you founding RebirthHer with a purpose to address and fill that plug, that gap, that is huge.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, because again, it's so important. So many African American women, you know, unfortunately even get to make it to that postpartum stage, right? Like they die in childbirth because they're not taken seriously. You know, I know we all heard the story of like Serena Williams and what she went through in her pregnancy. Like we should not have to keep saying, hey, something's not right. You see I'm bleeding out, but oh, it's okay.
Right.
Like, do you do the same for, you know, Caucasians? You know, that's not fair. That is not. We can't seek services. Like we can't seek services and be comfortable. You know, we don't get the options. I talked to a lot of the moms before who are in the planning stages about, you know, you can have a home birth, you can have a water birth. Like we're not even provided those options, which is crazy. We have to research. Right, and we have to research. Man. It's not fair.
But we don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We're given the ladder of that stick and told you go into the hospital, you have your baby, and you leave in 48 hours or less.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're not giving those extra care, those extra opportunities to have a very creative birth like that. So
exactly. And that's one of the things as RebirthHer grows and we revamp, I want to add those case management services. I want to be able to be there, not just for mothers who already had their baby, but during the whole pre-planning stage. You know, it doesn't matter if you're married or single, you have options to how you want your birth to look like. You know, want to try to make it more normalized, right? That, you know, you can have a different type of experience. The same with breastfeeding. You know, one of those things. Yes, you can breastfeed. It's okay. Just because they shove Similac at you at the hospital, you don't have to take it. And trust me, been through that too when I was breastfeeding my baby. Like, well, he's not getting enough. Well, he's getting something. So we're going to continue to do this. We're not going to introduce stuff that I don't want to introduce. You're not going to make me feel uncomfortable about my beliefs. So I just want to make that normal for our culture as we grow.
We need to normalize it. And I think you just hit something on the head as far as it's okay to say you want to do something different than grandmama did, than mama did. No, I'm serious. We live in a culture where, you know, especially when it comes to medical and healthcare, we were not always done right. So even the traditions weren't always right. Right. It's just what we did because that's what we were provided at the time.
Exactly.
But you got to do your research, ladies, whether you have a child or not, or you're going to working on your second one. And like for me, I plan to try and do a water birth. I want to have a doula. Like I want to all the things that I found out after the fact.
Exactly, right?
Right. Like, okay, I got to try again.
I didn't even know that was an option. I was like, whoa.
Right, exactly.
Oh no. You know, so I definitely agree. And I think that an organization like RebirthHer is not only needed, but will help pave the way and trailblaze that, right? And that would be awesome. You get some case managers on the team.
Yes, that would be awesome. And I'm really looking forward to that. And you hit something on the head when you talked about we don't have to do what our ancestors or what our grandma and our mama did. And I think that all goes to that mental health component. You know, I feel like we are the generation that's starting to take care of our mental health.
Yes.
And it's like, it makes our moms and grandmothers uncomfortable. They're not used to like that. Like, why are you going to counseling? Like, what's wrong with you? That's always the question. Like, what's wrong with you?
It's just like that. So what's wrong with you?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's not nothing wrong with me forever. Like, I got some things that I'm going through. Did you pray about it? Did you read Psalm 14?
Let it in the Lord's hands.
Yes, to normalize taking care of your mental health, y'all.
Yes, exactly.
Can I drop a low real quick? Everybody got mental health issues. Everybody. We live in a society that that seriously that has embedded that within us. So we all have something that has to be addressed, and you have to be willing to admit that to yourself first and be willing to take care of it, whatever that looks like. That's all. There's nothing to be ashamed about. There are resources out here, regardless of what you look like, where you come from, what your background is, what you think happens to run in your family. Regardless, you have to be real about yourself, about your situation, where you are, and know that there is help out there. There are other people going through the exact same thing that have come out on the other side, and you have to be willing to find it and receive that help. You got to be open to it. So that's how I feel.
I agree.
Well, if we can change gears into our questions for Ms. Shaniqua, what is one token advice you would give someone looking to become an entrepreneur?
I would say, first accept and know who you are. Like I always say, like, be your authentic self. I think once you get comfortable being you and knowing who you are, then you're able to go out and create that business or live that dream. I always tell people, like, when people come to me, I don't care if you want to be a doctor or an actor. Let's be the best doctor or actor we can be. Because if that's your dream, don't let others take that away from you. Because people will. They're going to try to take it away from you. And I think we have to be strong and grounded within ourselves to know that, you know what, this is what I want to do. Doesn't matter who don't support me, who laughs at me. This is me. I'm going to be true to me.
Yeah, and I think that's huge. So letting everyone know to get comfortable enough, right?
Yes.
So one, get to know who you are, because honestly, we don't figure that out until we get a little older.
Yes.
Spend some time with ourselves.
Yes.
You can remember what were the things that you loved when you were a kid, when you didn't have the stressors of being an
Right.
adult. Hello.
Right.
So that's beautiful. That's what's up. So what would you say has been the biggest surprise that you've had this year, and why?
Besides COVID.
I know, right?
Everyone's surprise.
Right.
Maybe besides COVID. Yeah, that's a standard, I think, for everybody.
Right. I think the biggest surprise for me this year, and you made a good point about you never stop growing or figuring out who you are, is my ability to figure out, like, what can I actually handle, and not being afraid or, concerned about saying no or taking things off my plate. Like, that was me becoming comfortable with myself. It's like, you know what, I don't have to be, this person people may perceive me to be. Like, this is me, and if I can't do it, I can't do it. If I want to do it, I'll do it. And that was a big thing I learned this year. And I think, COVID wasn't the best thing, but COVID helped me do that because it forced me to sit down with me.
Yeah.
We have moments. Right, exactly. We have moments when we do that, but like to have like 6 months straight that we had to do that.
Got some real time.
Right, you got some real time. So that's one thing I think I have learned about me this year.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Well, we are tuned into Be Raw Podcast. We have the beautiful Shaniqua Staples here from RebirthHer. We're going to go into a short commercial break, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in a few seconds.
Flawless Spa Retreat of Distinction is a beautiful day spa providing a relaxing and rejuvenating experience. We specialize in corrective skincare, waxing, massage, and yoni steam. We also offer spa parties. Book your appointment today.
Hey yo, what's happening? I'm Legacy City, founder and CEO of Streetligion and Streetligion Nation Radio, home of the independent artist, where you control the narrative. No, seriously, if you're an independent artist and you're looking for radio play and you know how artists get on the radio, submit your music to streetligionnationradio@gmail.com. Make sure you have an MP3, artwork, metadata, and your song is registered with all the proper pros, sound exchange, and all that other good stuff. Video-based BDS radio, etc. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm dope. My manager, my person that do the video, will put all the information around here somewhere.
Welcome back to
Hey,
Be
y'all.
Raw Podcast. We are here with myself, Shalonda, co-host Shamika, and the
Hey,
beautiful Miss Shaniqua Staples.
I love these S's.
I know.
Ooh, S. Hey.
What does snake stand? Okay. For those who don't know, my co-host Shalonda owns
Lord.
like 50 million snakes. I'd say that maybe we'll bring them up here one day, but it'll be the day that I'm not here.
Oh, Lord.
Kidding.
Actually,
Maybe we will one day.
you got me thinking. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
God.
So, jumping right back into it, Miss Shaniqua, our next question for you is what's the biggest area you are curious about and why? And what are some of the things you're researching the most right now?
Good question. I think the biggest area, so when thinking about postpartum and mental health, something that I'm working on and researching on is I'm actually researching on fathers in postpartum. I think a lot of times we don't think about the men, but as more companies and organizations are start doing like the father maternity leave and everything of that nature, I want to know more about like how are fathers affected, you know, once the baby is born. And a lot of research, especially with African American fathers, is they do have that disconnect. They have that disconnect from not just the baby, but from their wife. So it's like a double situation, right? Because as a woman, we're not really thinking about like the other partner. Like we have this new baby, we trying to like sleep and everything. But you know, he didn't just give birth, so now he doesn't have you. He doesn't really know what to do with the baby, so he kind of feels like he's just there. And a lot of fathers feel like,
that.
yeah, and a lot of fathers just think like, you know, what do you need me to do? And then again, as women, we're also going through those emotions, right? So we're like, we're snapping and like, get away from me. Wait, come back. Where are you going? I'm hungry.
I need attention.
Right, exactly. So, and we don't never really think about the mental health of men. It's not like the first thing that pops in our mind. So I am doing research on the mental health of fathers after their wives give birth or girlfriends.
Yeah, no, I think that's super important. I'm happy to hear that.
Yes,
and find a way to at least provide resources on that because I'm with you. There's not enough attention or focus put on the man's perspective and their experience, right? And the child, and I mean, whew, yeah, we can have a whole episode.
Yes.
On that. That's huge. Wow, I love that. So, what would you say then has been the biggest failure that you've had in this last year, and why do you think it happened?
And how did you overcome it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the biggest, with like this personally or just like overall,
Just
like
in general.
just in general.
Life.
Share with us.
Yeah. So in life, I think the biggest failure I've had this year, well, I'm gonna be honest. So the biggest failure I had this year was my son decided to move back to Michigan. So it made me feel like I feel it as a parent. So the little content between me and my son's 16. I had him when I was 14. So we literally grew up together, right? So when you're growing up with your child, there's a lot of misparenting moments in that because you're still being parenting. So, you know, you're binge watching stuff you shouldn't be watching with a baby, but you shouldn't really be watching either. Not nothing like not porn or nothing. Let me clear this up.
I don't think we thought that, girl. I was like, wait a minute.
No, because I always, right? No, because it was so funny. Like when my son was like, I forgot how old he was, but Oz. I don't know if you ever saw the TV show Oz. On HBO.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The prison one?
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
Like I literally like binge watched like 6 seasons.
I think you told me this. I remember, yeah. Oh, goodness.
I know now. No, I'm just playing. But because we grew up together and he's seen so much, because I was growing, you know, he saw bad relationships. I mean, I was 14, right? Yeah. So he saw all this. So it kind of made our relationship a little bit different. And then when I had my daughter, I was 22 and married, so I was more stable, right? So he saw a lot of the things that I was doing with my daughter that I didn't do with him. And when we moved to Texas, it was one of those things where he felt I was ripping him from his support system, which I did because his dad is super involved in his life. My son loves his family. So moving forward, when Jonathan decided to move to Texas with me, he was about 13. He stayed with me for about a year. He was like, Mom, I can't do it. And he moved back to Michigan. That was really hard for me. But when he decided to come back, I was super excited and happy. We tried to do it again, and my son, he was doing a play or something, and he had to play an abusive boyfriend. And when we got out to the car, he said, Mom, he broke down. He said, Mom, I can't do this play. He was like, it reminds me too much of you and your ex-husband.
Oh, wow.
And we've never talked about that. He never shared that with me. He was like, Mom, I never understood why you stayed. I never understood why you put me through that. He was like, I just don't get it. So it's hard for me to play a character when all I see in this girl is my mom, and I would never do this to a woman. So it really was a triggering for both of us. Triggering for both of us.
Wow.
But from that, we had our first real conversation. It was a heated conversation, I'm not gonna lie, because I was defensive, right? Because we never talked about this, and me trying to explain, but you can't explain abuse. You know, at the end of the day, I shouldn't have been staying, but, you know, we go through that cycle. But trying to explain that to a young man who's like, I would never put my hands on a woman, and I don't know why you allowed that to happen, it's just a really hard conversation. But with that hard conversation, it allowed us to talk that he wasn't happy in Texas.
Yeah.
He tried. He didn't want to be here. And he wanted to go back to Michigan. So when he went back to Michigan, I did have that moment of like depression, like, dang, you know, I really messed up with my oldest son. And it took me a while to kind of like have a real conversation with him, but I felt like that was a really big fail of mine. But when we did talk, he was like, Mom, it's never you. I always tell everybody that my mom does everything. She's an amazing woman. She's an amazing woman. He was like, oh, thank you. You made me cry. He was like, Mom, you know, I never understood how you could do everything you did and still raise us. He was like, you know, it's never about you. He was like, Mom, I like family. And he always makes that joke because everybody know all I need is me. I love my family, but like, I love y'all over there. Vacations and stuff. That's why I'm missing.
I love y'all, but
Right, exactly.
Love y'all from afar.
Right,
call
exactly.
me 3 hours before you head over here.
Exactly. But yeah, but that was, I guess it was a fail and win, because like it was a fail for me that, you know, he didn't stay again and he's not coming back. But it was also a win for me that we got to have that conversation.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We have been tuned in to Be Raw Podcast. Sorry, I'm in my feels a little bit. We're going to go to a short commercial break, so stay tuned.
Yes, we'll see y'all when we get back.
There's no need to worry during this COVID-19 pandemic because P&P Masks got you covered in style. That's right, we have designer masks and regular masks starting at only $5, kid and adult styles. And yes, we do deliver. Protect yourself in style and get your P&P mask today. For more info, text 210-900-3154 or 210-712-6104 or just simply DM us on Instagram. Protecting you in style during this pandemic. It's P&P Masks. Get yours today. And
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Oh, girl, this girl and
Need
her
y'all to put a little
vocals,
vibrato, a
child.
little auto-tune on that.
Y'all gonna drop a mixtape?
Yes. I am gonna drop a mixtape while y'all playing. Okay, I'm done. But all right, welcome back, y'all. We're here at the B-Raw Podcast. I'm your co-host, Shamika.
And I'm Shalonda.
And we're here with the amazing Shaniqua Staples, founder of RebirthHer. And she was just giving us some really great insight into her organization, the research behind it, why she decided to start it, and essentially what she plans to do with it and how to grow it. So I wanted to kind of ask you something, Shaniqua. I think you were really touching on some great things, even down to your own motherhood experience, right, and why you're here. Knowing what you do know now, though, what advice or tokens or jewels
I was like, that's a new word.
jewels, you know I make up words all the time, that your present self would go back to tell your past childhood self that you think would make a difference?
Yeah, first I would think be kind to yourself. I think, you know, growing up, we have so much pressures that we put on ourselves that we have these expectations, right, that we know we can't meet, but we keep adding more and more and more. So definitely just take time and be kind to yourself and love the skin that you're in. Like, if I could go back, like, I would just love the skin that I'm in and not, like, try to...
Beautiful, girl.
Oh, thank you. And try to spend so much time developing this person who I didn't even know who I was trying to develop.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier now when I know who I am and I'm comfortable with my own skin. And another thing is just slow down. You don't have to meet these unrealistic expectations or milestones, like I have to say. Like, if I could go back, I would not have did, like, of course, high school, but college back to back to back to back, all these jobs. Because young mom or not, I also realized that I took a big chunk of John's life because I kept trying to hit these milestones to prove that even though I'm a teen mom, I'm still going to get these degrees, I'm still going to get these jobs, I'm still going to do this and that and third, and I did not give him the time. Like, kids want time, not money.
Yeah,
And it's something, that they'll definitely let you know when they get older.
Oh,
So, you know, be kind, slow down, and just enjoy it in the moment.
That's beautiful. I think you do bring up a great great point, though. I think we all can say, right, once we become adults,
Mm-hmm.
everybody got something to say about how their
Yes.
parents raised them
Yep.
and what they went through with their parents. But honestly, you have to put things into perspective and say, like, okay, well, me at 30 and where my mindset is at and whatever mistakes
Mhm.
I've made, if my parents were 10 years younger than that and they had me,
Yep.
does that maybe make sense? Maybe why everything
Exactly.
wasn't done according to how, you know what I mean? It's we're all on a life journey.
Definitely.
And so essentially, everybody makes mistakes. You all have things, and I truly don't believe in full mistakes or failures. I think they're all growth
Oh,
moments.
yes. Yes.
Opportunities of growth. They were meant to happen, and you were meant to learn something from them, right? There's a blessing in every lesson. So,
Yes, I agree.
Can you tell us some resources for postpartum aside from RebirthHer?
Yes. So, one resource that I really, really like is Black Mama Matters Alliance. That you'll definitely find all the resources that you need regarding parenthood, breastfeeding, postpartum resources, support groups. This group is amazing. So basically, it was a group of moms who kind of came together and put all the resources in every city and state in one area. They have a toolkit. They have a way that you can build your own personal toolkit. And that's why I always use the word toolkit. I got it from them because it's kind of awesome to know that, hey, this is my box of like when I need A, B, or C. So you can find all those resources there. And it also really talks a lot about Black Maternal Week, which is April 14th through the 17th, where we just definitely go ahead and celebrate Black parents, you know, Black mothers, Black fathers, like what we have contributed to society, and knowing that, hey, yeah, we are our own cohort of people and we need to be celebrated because, again, we're not celebrated. And when you think about parenting, everyone has their own stereotypes about African Americans. So knowing that we have a week that we celebrate, Black Mamas Matter Alliance, they really, really hone in on this and have, right now, since we're virtual, they still have a lot of virtual events, but they also have an annual conference that they do yearly. It's just really to get all the moms together and basically celebrate the different styles of parenting, breastfeeding, and things of that nature.
That's awesome.
love
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. You
Yeah.
guys
No problem.
definitely check that out. A special shout out to GOJ Productions for producing our amazing theme song. Thank you so very much. And of course, y'all tune in to catch us either on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, of course. So we look forward to seeing you. It's at BRaw Podcast. Thank y'all. Take care. Bye.